What's up, you guys? Once again, this is John from Second City Toys, and today we're going to be talking about my first entry to the ACBA Photo Kombat 3 contest. So, this is my first time doing a contest like this for ACBA. I mean, it's my first time doing a contest for toy photography, period. I just said, why not? What the hell? I've been doing this for about a year and a half now, and I said, screw it. Let's just see what this is about. You know, what's the worst that can happen? But the reason I actually did enter this contest was because I wanted to kind of challenge myself. And I'll go over the rules right now, and I'll explain to you why I want to challenge myself. But let's just go real quick over the rules here. So from what I understanding is you must have at least 2 action figures, and they have to be really well articulated. It could be any character from any company, from any toy line, as long as they are fully articulated. So that's what I got here: War Machine and Iron Man, and these are SH Figure Arts action figures. So the first theme for this contest is called the Sidekick Save. So this is pretty much the Sidekick saving the day. So I chose War Machine saving Iron Man from this massive explosion going on in the background. Alright, so that leads to I think rule number 2. I believe you could use filters within the camera settings. You can't do anything outside of that, and that's when you take me out of my comfort zone and put me in a situation where I can't control, for example, Photoshop. I can't use Photoshop. That's another one of the rules. You can't use Photoshop. There's no phone app edits, no adding or removing objects, which I love to do. I'm a Photoshop guy. I like to clone stuff. I like to replace stuff with some things. I like to hide flight stands or wires or anything with Photoshop. But for this contest, you cannot use Photoshop. So yeah, this was a little harder to do, to hide a flight stand, to position my camera in an angle where it hides everything. It's nuts. I don't know how these guys do it. I mean, there's some guys out there who do this for a living, who love to do this. And man, shout out to those guys, and wish one day I could be as good as those guys. But yeah, so let's go. I think one of the other rules was the photo has to be yours, right? And it has to be a new photo. It can't be an old photo, so it has to be something recent, something new, which is pretty cool because all my photos are always new. I never post the same thing twice. What else? Oh, and I think you have to have at least 1 comic book cutout, which I do have this big boom in the back here where the explosion is taking place. And you must also have 1 prop displayed. So I have a barrel here on the bottom left. I'm sorry, on the bottom right I have a red barrel. So I'm hoping that's counted as a prop. And you must have 1 effect or special effect, and that is the Tamahashi bombs here that I have on the corners at the bottom of the screen, which I use, which I hope those count as effects. And the explosions, I guess, could be effect, right? Because it's like exploding. I don't know. We'll see when it gets judged. But that's how I took it. So we'll go ahead and see how that turns out. Now, the scoring, I believe you get scored by posing, composition, concept, and pretty much ACBA fundamentals. So if you don't know your ACBA fundamentals, then I would suggest you go take a look at their Facebook page, their Instagram page, and especially on Facebook, they have a pin on how everything works within the ACBA community, and it shows you the fundamentals of how to position your figures, how to use backdrops or props, effects, or comic book cutouts, and it gives you a pretty good example of how everything should look like at the end. So I definitely recommend checking that out. But yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and check out my whole setup here, and I'll explain a little bit of what I did and what I used to set this whole thing up. So let's get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and start talking about, you know, everything that I made for this dial and for this shot, everything that I used, how I used it, and what's it made of. So real quick, we'll get started with these pieces of rubble here, pieces of stone or rock, whatever you want to call them. This is pretty much insulation foam that I cut up into squares or into odd shapes, and I pretty much gave them a good black wash, added some texture of brick, and then the black wash, and then let it dry, and then pretty much did like a stone gray concrete kind of color, and just kind of dry brushed it on these tiny little pieces here. And as you can see, I made a bunch of these, so they're pretty much everywhere. Each individual one is unique, it's never the same thing. So here we have the Tamahashi bomb effect. This is like the dust explosion effect. It's not the colored one, which I can't find that one anywhere anymore, but I mean, that will do. And then I got this barrel here from I got it from Walgreens, actually. Walgreens was selling these barrels. It had slime in it. I bought it for like $2, which was really expensive because I usually get these for like $1 at Five Below. So I went ahead and spray painted the whole thing black and then red. Then I got this like fire effect thing going on as well. The bottom of this is actually a water bottle cap, and I pretty much put glue on it and then put cayenne, spray painted it to the colors that I wanted, and that was it. And I made like a couple of those. So let's move on here. So as you can see in the background here, I did the same thing with like a big container of juice, and I just put cayenne all over that. So let me just show you guys here. Take this camera off the stand. Let me show you guys what other stuff I did use. And let's see, come on. I need this to focus. Alright. So here we have this cutout. This cutout I got off online. I pretty much printed it, cut it up, put some wax behind it, and that wire there so I can stick to the actual bomb effect so it could look like it's popping up and not just laying there, which gave it a pretty good effect. What else do I have? See, I have more rubble here. As you can see, I made a lot of this, and it's real easy to make. It just takes a lot of time to do so. And here I have this piece here. I put some needles down here. What are these called? I forgot what are these called, but anyways, I put them down here because the flight stand actually kept pushing this other dial piece forward. So I put these thumbtacks, or whatever you want to call these pins on the edges here, so it wouldn't push the actual piece forward because the flight stand was too heavy. And I have here another barrel, same situation. There goes that smoke effect. And then I have these rocks just laying here. Some of them do have the wire on them, and I just stuck them in the actual fire so it looks like it's like jumping out with the fire. And then the ones on top, I just pretty much laid them there. But let's see, I have another one here with the wire that fell off, and like I said, the ones on tops, they're just laying there, which is not bad. They're pretty easy to make. And then I have this brick wall here on the side, which I made the same thing. Like, it's hard to hide the wire, so you gotta position the rock to hide the wire, like so, and then just take your photo. So I had that piece there, and then it goes to the other smoke bomb there. So the way I have this flight stand, it's actually, I stuck the flight stand through the actual insulation foam, so it goes all the way underneath. And then the other end of that goes into War Machine's inside of the butt area there. So the flight stands actually pretty much goes inside him, no pun intended. But yeah, that pretty much helps him just stand there. And then with the rocket effect from his boot, it pretty much hides the flight stand. So let's go ahead and take Iron Man out here, and I'll show you guys exactly how he is positioned. So see in the back here, and the flight stand is really attached to the foam board, and then the other end is right up his butt, which is not bad because I mean it hides the flight stand, and that's the most important thing. So that was it, guys. That's pretty much my whole setup and what I used. That piece there that you see, it came from one of the old Toy Biz toys. Oh, and this foam here, all that, it's installation foam, the liquid kind. I just sprayed it and just pretty much smeared it everywhere, so it looks like rubble was actually already there. And it's real easy to make, real easy. But other than that, this took me about 3 days to make, which wasn't bad for something that I had to make really quick. I think what took the most time was the small pieces of rubble that had to dry and then rebrush. But other than that, I hope you guys like this. This is something new that I wanted to do and see what reactions I get. So any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave them down below. Once again, this is John from Second City Toys, and I'm out.